From the racetracks of Le Mans to the streets of Hollywood, few cars have redefined an entire brand the way the Audi R8 did. Before its arrival, Audi was respected for its rally machines and luxury sedans, but no one saw them as a supercar builder. That changed in 2006 when the R8 emerged, born from endurance racing dominance, shaped by futuristic design, and armed with engines that shared DNA with Lamborghini. It wasn't just a car, it was a statement. With its mid-engine layout, quattro grip, and screaming V8 and V10 power, the R8 stood proudly against Ferrari and Porsche, while still offering the comfort and usability Audi was known for. And then came the moment that made it a global star, when Tony Stark rolled it out on screen in Iron Man. Overnight, the R8 wasn't just a machine, it was a cultural icon. From championship-winning GT cars to limited edition V10 beasts, the R8 evolved into one of the greatest modern supercars. And though its final roar marked the end of Audi's combustion dream, its legacy is secure. A car that dared to challenge legends and became one itself. For decades, Audi was respected for its engineering, but no one thought of it as a supercar maker. Mercedes had its Gullwings, BMW had its M Division, Porsche had its 911. Audi, they were known for quattro rally cars, executive sedans, and safe German precision. But in the early 2000s, something was brewing inside Ingolstadt. Audi wanted more than respect. They wanted a legend. The seeds of the R8's creation were planted on the racetrack. When Audi dominated endurance racing with its Le Mans prototypes, they proved they could build machines that weren't just fast, but relentless. Fans began asking, if Audi can conquer 24 hours of Le Mans, why can't they give us a road car that feels the same? Audi's executives listened. They wanted a car that would stand toe-to-toe with Ferrari, Lamborghini, and Porsche, not just on paper, but in spirit. This was not a safe move. Audi risked billions on a car that didn't fit their usual market. Supercars were unpredictable. They broke down, they scared away conservative buyers, and they were rarely profitable. But Audi wasn't chasing money. They were chasing identity. The goal was clear, to prove that Audi could not only play in the big leagues, but redefine them. By 2003, whispers started spreading. Rumors of a concept car, something wild, futuristic, and unlike anything Audi had ever made. For the brand that built its reputation on sensible luxury, this was more than a car. It was a statement. Audi was ready to step out of the shadows and put its name in the history books of supercars. The world was about to meet the beginning of the R8 story. To understand the R8, you have to understand Audi's obsession with endurance racing. At the turn of the millennium, Audi wasn't just competing at the 24 hours of Le Mans, they were dominating it. Their prototype racer, simply named the Audi R8 LMS, tore through the competition year after year. Between 2000 and 2005, it won 5 times, becoming one of the most successful endurance race cars ever built. What made it so unbeatable? Reliability and precision. While other teams fought mechanical failures, Audi's machine ran like clockwork. Hour after hour, pit stop after pit stop. Drivers described it as fast, stable, and almost effortless to control compared to rival cars. The R8 LMS wasn't just a racing car, it was a symbol of German engineering at its sharpest. But here's where it gets interesting. Audi realized that winning on the track wasn't enough. Victory at Le Mans gave them credibility, but to the average car enthusiast, it was still a race they only read about in magazines. To really make an impact, Audi needed something people could drive on the street, something that took the DNA of Le Mans glory and distilled it into a road car. This is where the vision sharpened. The R8 LMS became more than a trophy. It became a blueprint. The mid-engine layout, the lightweight design, the balance of speed and control, these would all become the foundation for Audi's first true supercar. It wasn't about copying Ferrari or Lamborghini. It was about channeling racing technology into something uniquely Audi. So when the idea of a road-going R8 began circulating, fans immediately connected it to Le Mans. This wasn't just marketing spin. The road car would be a direct descendant of a racing dynasty. Audi wasn't just entering the supercar game. They were bringing a championship-winning bloodline with them. The stage was now set for a show-stopping concept that would silence the doubters. In 2003, the Frankfurt Motor Show became the stage for one of Audi's boldest reveals ever. When the covers came off the Le Mans Quattro concept, the crowd froze. This wasn't just another Audi sedan or coupe. It was a spaceship on wheels. Low, wide, and aggressive, it looked like something ripped straight from the pit lane at Le Mans, yet polished enough for the open road. The concept's design shocked enthusiasts. Sharp LED headlights, a futuristic interior, and a stance that screamed performance. It was Audi saying, yes, we can build a supercar. But this wasn't a fantasy model destined for the archives. The Le Mans Quattro was a promise. Everything about it hinted at production readiness, as if Audi was daring people to ask, when can we buy this? Underneath the dramatic bodywork sat a twin-turbocharged V10, producing over 600 horsepower. Even though it was a concept, Audi made sure it wasn't just pretty, it was powerful. They wanted the world to know this wasn't a design exercise. It was a prototype for something real. What made the Le Mans Quattro even more special was how it blended race car aggression with everyday usability. Unlike many wild concepts that looked impossible to drive, this car carried Audi's DNA of precision, balance, and refinement. It was futuristic, yes, but believable. Critics and fans instantly connected the dots. This was the road-going extension of Audi's Le Mans domination. It was the bridge between the racetrack and the highway. And for the first time, it became clear. Audi wasn't just testing the waters. They were preparing to shake the very foundations of the supercar world. The Le Mans Quattro wasn't just a show car. It was the birth certificate of what would soon be called the Audi R8. When Audi finally unveiled the production R8 in 2006, jaws dropped. Many thought the Le Mans Quattro concept would be watered down, but Audi delivered almost exactly what they had promised. The R8 looked futuristic, sharp, and exotic, yet somehow still unmistakably Audi. With its wide grille, low stance, and signature side blades running along the doors, it instantly stood out from the crowded world of supercars. The R8 was built on a mid-engine platform, a first for Audi's road cars. This wasn't just about style, it was about balance, precision, and handling. The car launched with a naturally aspirated 4.2-liter V8 borrowed from the RS4, producing 420 horsepower. It wasn't the most powerful supercar on the market, but it didn't need to be. The magic was in how it drove. Reviewers praised its grip, stability, and usability. Unlike a Ferrari, which demanded respect, the R8 felt approachable, like anyone could get in and drive it with confidence. Audi also showed off their technical edge. The R8 came with Quattro all-wheel drive, giving it incredible traction compared to rear-wheel drive rivals. It used LED headlights before most brands even experimented with them, making it look like a machine from the future. This blend of cutting-edge tech and thrilling performance earned it instant recognition. But the R8 wasn't just about numbers or features, it was about image. For the first time, Audi had a halo car, something to sit at the top of their lineup and change how people viewed the brand. Overnight, Audi wasn't just the maker of practical sedans and SUVs. They were now a serious player in the world of exotic cars. The R8's arrival marked the beginning of a new era. Audi had proven they could take the spirit of Le Mans and turn it into a road car that lived up to the hype. And this was only the beginning. The best was yet to come. The first R8 made a splash with its high-revving 4.2-liter V8. But Audi knew they couldn't stop there. In 2009, they unveiled a new version that would change everything, the R8 V10. Under the rear glass sat a 5.2-liter naturally aspirated monster, producing over 520 horsepower. Suddenly, the R8 wasn't just a stylish supercar, it was a serious performance weapon. But here's the twist. This engine wasn't purely Audi's creation. It shared blood with Lamborghini's Gallardo, thanks to Volkswagen Group ownership. The two cars were siblings under the skin, but Audi refined the R8's personality to be more balanced, less raw, and more livable than the Italian counterpart. While the Gallardo screamed with drama, the R8 delivered its power with German precision. For many drivers, that made it the perfect everyday supercar. The choice between V8 and V10 became more than just numbers. It became part of the R8's identity. Purists loved the lighter, more agile V8, praising its razor-sharp handling. But those who craved speed and noise gravitated toward the V10, which could rocket past 200 miles per hour and deliver a soundtrack worthy of Hollywood. It gave buyers something rare in the supercar world. Options. Audi also expanded the lineup with convertibles, called the Spider, and later with special editions that pushed the limits even further. Each variation showed that the R8 wasn't just a one-hit wonder. It was a platform that could evolve, adapt, and compete with the world's best. By blending Lamborghini passion with Audi discipline, the R8 created something unique. It wasn't Italian flair or pure German seriousness. It was both in perfect harmony. And soon that combination would launch the R8 into true global stardom. A supercar can earn respect on the road, but true legend status often comes from the silver screen. For the Audi R8, that moment arrived in 2008 with the release of Iron Man. When Tony Stark rolled out of his Malibu mansion behind the wheel of a gleaming silver R8, audiences didn't just see a car, they saw the perfect reflection of a genius billionaire with style. In a single scene, Audi's new supercar was immortalized. It was a brilliant marketing move. While competitors leaned on tradition and motorsport heritage, Audi positioned the R8 as futuristic, high-tech, and sleek, just like Stark himself. Marvel could have chosen a Ferrari or Lamborghini, but the R8's modern lines and understated aggression made it look like it belonged in the future, not the past. Suddenly, the R8 wasn't just competing with rivals in showrooms, it was competing for screen time in one of the biggest movie franchises in history. The impact was immediate. Sales skyrocketed, and people who had never paid attention to Audi were suddenly obsessed with the R8. For younger audiences, this was their first dream car, a supercar tied not to racing posters, but to superheroes. Every sequel cemented that bond, with Tony Stark upgrading his R8s to newer models, almost as if the car was evolving alongside him. This cultural spotlight gave the R8 something no engineering spec sheet ever could: desirability. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It was a symbol of innovation, wealth, and coolness. Audi had successfully transformed the R8 from a bold gamble into a cultural icon. And while Hollywood made it famous, Audi was far from done writing its real-world legacy. While the road-going R8 was turning heads in showrooms and on movie screens, Audi had no intention of keeping it away from the track. In 2009, they introduced the R8 LMS, a race-ready version built for GT3 competition. This wasn't a marketing stunt. It was Audi going back to its roots, proving that the R8 carried the same DNA as its Le Mans-winning ancestors. The R8 LMS looked menacing with its wide body, stripped-out interior, and massive rear wing. Beneath it all, however, it was still an R8 at heart, powered by the naturally aspirated V10. Audi made sure private racing teams could buy and run it, making the R8 one of the most accessible and competitive GT3 cars of its era. Almost overnight, it began collecting victories around the world. From the Nürburgring 24 hours to endurance races in Asia and America, the R8 LMS carved out a legacy of dominance. It wasn't just a fast car, it was a reliable one. Teams loved it because it could handle the punishment of long-distance racing without falling apart, echoing the same traits that made Audi's prototype R8 legendary at Le Mans. The success of the LMS also fed back into the road cars. Technology tested in endurance racing, lightweight materials, improved aerodynamics and durability, found its way into special editions of the Street R8. Audi's message was clear. This wasn't just a pretty supercar for celebrities. It was a weapon that could fight and win on the toughest circuits in the world. By dominating both Hollywood and the racetrack, the R8 achieved what few cars ever do. It became a supercar that was equally at home on the boulevard, the movie screen, and the podium. And as the years went on, Audi prepared to evolve it into something even sharper. By 2015, the R8 had already proven itself as a cultural and racing icon. But Audi wasn't content with nostalgia. They wanted to raise the stakes. Enter the second-generation R8, a sharper, faster, and more aggressive machine that showed Audi wasn't just keeping up with Ferrari, Lamborghini, and McLaren. It was ready to push back. The design alone made a statement. Gone were the rounded edges of the original. In their place came sharper lines, a more angular grille, and a body that looked sculpted by wind and fire. The R8 had matured, sleeker, leaner, and undeniably modern. But beneath the skin, it was more than just a facelift. The second-gen R8 ditched the V8 option, going all in on the mighty 5.2-liter V10. Depending on the model, it pumped out between 540 and 610 horsepower with the R8 V10 Plus, capable of hitting 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 3 seconds. This wasn't just fast, it was brutally quick, rivaling the best Italy had to offer. Its Quattro all-wheel drive system delivered grip that made it devastatingly effective on real roads, not just racetracks. Audi also packed it with technology. A fully digital cockpit replaced traditional gauges, giving drivers a futuristic display worthy of a spaceship. The chassis was lighter thanks to aluminum and carbon fiber, while magnetic suspension kept it planted even at insane speeds. And yet the R8 remained uniquely Audi. It was still the supercar you could actually live with. Comfortable enough for daily driving, refined enough for long trips, but savage when unleashed. For some, it was the perfect balance of everyday usability and world-class performance. The second generation cemented the R8's place in history. It wasn't just Audi's supercar anymore. It was Audi's flagship, a showcase of everything the brand could do when it aimed for the absolute top. As the second-generation R8 matured, Audi began rolling out special editions that pushed the car to its absolute limits. These weren't just cosmetic tweaks. They were bold statements, each one capturing a different side of the R8's character. One of the most striking was the R8 GT, a lightweight, hardcore version that stripped away comfort for pure speed. With aggressive aero, weight-saving measures, and a tuned V10, it proved the R8 could go toe-to-toe with the fiercest track-focused exotics. Then came the R8 WS, rear-wheel series. For the first time, Audi dared to build an R8 without Quattro all-wheel drive. Purists loved it. Suddenly, the R8 wasn't just a safe, balanced supercar. It was tail-happy, raw, and thrilling in ways Audi usually avoided. Over the years, Audi released anniversary editions, limited runs, and bespoke versions celebrating the R8's achievements. Each special edition reminded fans that the R8 wasn't just an experiment. It was a genuine icon. The car evolved with louder exhausts, sharper styling, and in some cases, power levels creeping past 600 horsepower. But behind the celebration loomed a shadow, the end of the combustion era. With electric mobility rising and strict emissions laws tightening, the R8's glorious, naturally aspirated V10 faced extinction. Audi made sure its final models carried the spirit of a last stand, machines like the R8 V10, performance that roared unapologetically, knowing they might be the last of their kind. These final editions weren't just cars, they were farewell letters, written in tire smoke and engine notes. They reminded the world that the R8 was more than metal and horsepower. It was emotion, heritage, and a bold chapter in Audi's history. By the early 2000s and 20s, it was clear the R8's glorious V10 was living on borrowed time. The world was shifting rapidly toward electrification, and even Audi, once proud of its howling, naturally aspirated engines, was rebranding itself as a pioneer of clean, high-tech mobility. For the R8, this meant the end was near. In 2023, Audi confirmed what fans feared. The R8 would be discontinued. No successor was planned, at least not with a combustion heart. After nearly 2 decades, the car that had redefined Audi and stood toe-to-toe with Ferrari and Lamborghini would leave the stage. Enthusiasts mourned the decision, but Audi insisted it wasn't the end of the spirit, only the beginning of a new chapter. Whispers quickly grew louder about an all-electric replacement, sometimes dubbed the e-tron R8. It promised lightning-fast acceleration and futuristic design, but for purists, it raised an uncomfortable question. Could an electric car ever carry the same soul as a V10, screaming to 8,500 RPM? Only time will tell. What's undeniable is the legacy the R8 leaves behind. It wasn't just Audi's first supercar. It was a statement that a brand once known for quiet luxury sedans could build something bold, emotional, and timeless. It became a racing legend, a Hollywood superstar, and a dream car for an entire generation. The R8 may be gone, but it's not forgotten. Its place in car history is secure, an icon that proved passion and precision could live in the same machine. Whatever comes next, the world will always remember the moment Audi dared to dream beyond practicality and built one of the greatest supercars of its time.